Hello, fellow seekers and collectors. I am the Cinema Seeker. 2021 is over now, and of course, that means we gotta round up the movies from last year, whether they were the worst or the best, and today we are starting with the worst. 2021 as a year for film was a lot better than 2020 due to the fact that there were a lot more releases and a lot more to see. So naturally, this means more content, meaning, well, there's going to be an overabundance of good movies and over an abundance of bad movies. And just like with many other years, there are plenty of good and bad ones. So now I'll be doing my top 10 worst of 2021. Before I start this list, I have to let you know I didn't see every movie that came out last year. So there's probably some obviously terrible movies that should have been on this list, but because I didn't see everything and there were just some movies I had no absolutely fucking interest in, I just decided to leave it off. So we're going to go ahead and be doing my top 10 worst of 2021. I definitely want to see your guys' list. Post them in the comments section or at them on me on Twitter, at the Cinema Seeker. Number 10, Army of the Dead. Well, Zack Snyder done did it again. He made another shitty movie. What's to be expected? It's very interesting to see Zack Snyder in many ways go back to his roots when it comes to the zombie genre because, as many of you know, he directed the remake of Dawn of the Dead. However, it seems that it was very clear he was better at being a director, and most of the talent went to the writers and bits and pieces that they used of James Gunn's original script. So, of course, Army of the Dead is a completely controlled Zack Snyder film, and it's just as bad as you would expect. Plot holes, characters doing the stupidest things that you could think of. The characters are not interesting. The plot is just pretty much a generic heist movie mixed in with aliens because this movie really wore its influences on the sleeves, and that could be completely fine in some films if you do it properly, but there's many occasions where it's very clear Zack Snyder is just biting off of much better movies. Hell, he flat out rips off American Werewolf in London at one point in the beginning of the film. The zombies are not that interesting. There's not a lot to go. Honestly, it's just kind of a boring film too. I really did not have any interest in this film once the initial premise got started because there's really no characters to like. None of them are that interesting aside from the actor using some of their personality to influence that into the character. Not to mention, too, as well, the zombie designs are just pretty generic. I've seen far more better ones in other media. As well, the movie tries to be serious at times, but sometimes it comes across as hilarious. Like, there's one death scene that just, because of the CGI and how bad it looked more funny than actually emotional. Yeah, Army of the Dead is just a really bad zombie film, and it sucks too that now this is breeding an entire cinematic universe. Great. Number 9, Halloween Kills. It's depressing to put this on the list because I genuinely liked the first movie. I thought it was a good return to form. And then this movie came out. I do not like this movie. It is so terrible. Oh my god. They repeated the mistakes of the last movies that came out. Literally, this entire franchise's justification for existing was to erase the original continuity, and yet they made the same mistakes that those original films made. Michael is just another Jason Voorhees. He can take as much punishment as he can, and he's somehow this immortal badass. Oh my god, stop making Michael into Jason Voorhees. It's annoying. It's not fresh and new. The original continuity did this, and it was terrible there, and it's still terrible. Characters are fucking dumb. They are so fucking stupid. It is actually mesmerizing to see just how fucking dumb some of these characters are. Oh, I really also hope you like hearing the words "evil dies tonight" a lot, because you're gonna end up hearing it a lot. Or 40 years ago. Yes, I get it. It happened 40 years ago. You don't need to constantly fucking remind me. Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. There's some really dumb fucking kills in this movie too. Actually, that's the only thing that maybe you'll get some form of entertainment, is seeing some of these characters die. But even then, some of these kills are literally fucking stupid. Like that infamous car door scene where all of a sudden Michael Myers fucking becomes Bruce Lee out of nowhere and karate kicks a door into a girl, making her shoot herself. Like, is this parody? Is this meant to be funny? Was this meant to be taken seriously? I have no fucking clue. Yeah, Halloween Kills is just as bad as you would expect it to be. And now with Halloween Ends coming out this year, I have no faith in this project. Number 8, The Tomorrow War. Okay, how do I talk about this movie? Well, one thing I will definitely say is The Tomorrow War, it can be fun if you turn your brain off. But if you turn your brain on, let's just say the script is going to be filled with a lot of holes that it looks like Swiss cheese. Yeah, I really did enjoy this movie, but I can't in good faith put it on the good list because it's a pretty bad script. The time travel elements do not make sense, even if it's not meant to be like other time travel movies, like, or time travel media. It still doesn't make a lot of sense. There's still a lot of inconsistencies, a lot of contrivances, lots of plot holes, and most of the characters are just, you could tell they're just like Army of the Dead. They're heavily relying on the actors filling in the gaps that the scriptwriter clearly didn't put. I will say a positive element is I believe Chris Pratt and the actress that played his daughter, who, if you'll remember, was in Dexter. She played his girlfriend. Yeah, their relationship is actually pretty good. I really liked the way they did it. The problem is that's not enough to make this a good film. While there's some enjoyable action, it genuinely does boggle the mind in some cases, some of the decisions made. And once you really start thinking about it, oh man, this movie gets worse and worse and worse. It is not a good film. It can be enjoyable if you want a dumb action movie, but if you're somebody who's wanting a alien style smart movie while also having good action, yeah, look somewhere else, because the Tomorrow War definitely is not something to look forward to. Number 7, Snake Eyes. Oh boy. Okay. I love Snake Eyes as a character. I think anybody who even has casual knowledge of the G.I. Joe franchise knows that Snake Eyes is one of the coolest characters. I mean, again, he's a silent ninja who uses guns, a motorcycle, has been seen sometimes with a wolf. He's just a badass ninja. So, what happens when you have a movie that takes all those elements, throws it out the fucking window, and makes a shitty action movie? You get Snake Eyes, motherfucker. Oh man, it's really disappointing because I genuinely like the actor that they got to play Snake Eyes, but man, this movie is just so terrible. It's just another generic action movie that if you remove the Snake Eyes element from it, it would just be another bog standard action film, but this time it has the Snake Eyes logo. Bite me. The action is genuinely terrible in this movie. It's poorly filmed, it's not that well choreographed, and it just feels like an absolute slog to get through. Snake Eyes as a character is absolutely just not interesting. And the problem is they completely changed a lot of his elements from the original series, or from the original comics, that have the lore that essentially started in G.I. Joe has been changed, and it hasn't been changed into anything interesting. The villain is very generic. It's just absolutely bad. It's not a good start to this potential cinematic universe that G.I. Joe is trying to go for, or that Hasbro is trying to start, because for some reason they just can't let the G.I. Joe franchise die off because they really want to make that Transformers money. But I'm sorry, this ain't it, Chief. Number 6, Cruella. Oh my god, another year, another shitty live action Disney remake. I do not know why Disney is so. Oh, wait, I know why, because they make money. Although, in the case of this one, it didn't make money, so. Cruella is just as bad of an idea as you would think about it. Hey guys, let's make Joker, but except let's take one of our Disney villains and do that. How about let's not and say we did? It is shocking to me at how seriously this movie takes itself. Everything about this movie is dumb. It is dumb. You can't take it seriously. It is so cringe-inducingly bad that it boggles the mind how anybody put this pen to paper, approved it, and they said, yes, go straight on with this movie. It is so bad. The plot is just, why do you care? Why would you care about this lady who we know is going to go on to try to kill dogs? Not only just dogs, puppies. This is a movie that is trying to give you a sympathetic, tragic backstory to a Disney villain whose sole motivation is she wants to kill puppies. I'm sorry, that is a very hard thing to do. And in fact, it's so hard, it completely fails. Why critics gave this so good of praise, I will never fucking know. Cruella is not a good movie, and in fact, it's even more frustrating because Emma Stone and Emma Thompson are absolutely genuinely good in this movie, and their performances are wasted in this film. They genuinely are giving it their all, and it sucks that that their great performances are wasted on such a shit script. Cruella is a bad film, definitely one I really don't recommend watching. I mean, I mean at least now we know that it failed at the box office, so we won't be getting another one. Are you fucking kidding me? Number 5. The Matrix Resurrections. You know, I was really excited for this one out of all of them because it seemed like, because it was really awesome. You know, we're riding the Keanu high, and it seemed like, man, it's awesome to see Keanu coming back, man, you know, getting his redemption arc, you know, for all the years that people, you know, gave him undeserved shit as an actor. You know, it was really cool now to even see that there's another Matrix coming in, you know, to see what they're going to do. It came out, and I wish it didn't. The Matrix Resurrections is everything wrong with modern day reboots. It's the whole, hey guys, we gotta be meta. We gotta really be like, hey, we're in on the joke and everything. But it just does not work, and at times it comes across as completely pretentious. It also has that whole nostalgia bait for the sake of nostalgia bait bullshit that is really starting to become tiresome in films now. Hey, you remember the beginning of the movie? You remember Kung Fu? You remember all these things? I do, and I would rather see the original movie than this. It's kind of amazing at how much this movie doesn't really add that much to the Matrix mythos. It kind of just seems to be thrown out there because it could be made, and in fact there's pretty much been confirmation that this movie was going to be made even if one of the Wachowskis didn't come back, which just shows you how much of a bad idea this truly was. And I feel bad for Lana Wachowski for having to essentially be dealing with a studio that was going to take away their franchise and then just completely make something different. But at the same time too, it really have to be this bad too? Matrix Resurrections just feels like an absolute waste. The novelty of seeing Keanu and Carrie-Anne Moss and many others is just, it's fine for a little bit until you then just realize that that's all it has. Man, Agent Smith is so bad in this movie. I don't like the new Morpheus. And a lot of the new characters now are just not that great, to be honest. Matrix Resurrections is just a gigantic disappointment, but worse, it just adds nothing to the franchise. I didn't think that the Matrix sequels could get worse, but they did, and unfortunately, this is now the worst one. How unfortunate. Number 4. Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. Oh my god. I am a fan of the Resident Evil video game series. I really love the games. They're a lot of fun. They can be very scary, and they're just great games. And so now, when I heard that there was another chance at potentially getting a more game accurate movie, I was all welcome for it. I was happy. I thought we were actually going to get finally proper adaptations of Resident Evil. And then they fucked it up massively. Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City is pretty much a cash grab. It's worthless. Literally just like that new Mortal Kombat movie, except 10 times worse. This movie is filled with a bunch of references and a bunch of stuff that you like from the games, but with none of the heart and none of the actual stuff that you had wanted. None of the characters act like the way they do in the video games. Most of the plot is pretty much done almost sometimes B for B, but now they're just crammed together, and that's another problem. They crammed 2 video games worth of plot into one movie, and as you would expect, it is a fucking mess. I'm not going to go too much into detail in this specific video because I actually do want to review this movie and fully analyze why this movie fucking sucks, but it is just bad. The effects are bad, the story is bad, the characters are bad, everything about this is bad, 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 bad. It's terrible, and I absolutely fucking hated this movie. In fact, I was actually pretty much going to be done with this video. I pretty much already had the audio all recorded, I already had my list filled out, and then I saw this fucking piece of shit, and I pretty much knew this movie had to end up on the list due to just how much it absolutely fucking pissed me off. Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City pretty much is everything wrong with video game to movie adaptations. And it is a very, very depressing state when now the best video game to movie adaptation we still are now going to be having is Sonic the fucking Hedgehog. Number 3, Tom and Jerry. I love Tom and Jerry. I grew up with them. They're those classic cartoons that, you just end up growing up with, and I cherish them. So when I was essentially told that we were going to be getting a full-on Roger Rabbit-esque movie mixing animation and live action, I had no idea what to think. I was very concerned. I had no idea what to think. And then I actually saw the movie, and it's shit. It's bad. Oh my god, this is everything I hate with these type of movies of, hey, let's take a cartoon and then all of a sudden just not even really make it about them. Let's call it Tom and Jerry, but then we're going to put a human character and she's the main character or he's the main character. I am so sick of this trope. Can I just get a movie that's about cartoon characters about the cartoons? I am just sick of seeing this going around. Oh my god, and it's just so bad. Pop music for the sake of pop music. The jokes don't land. The physical comedy just, oh my god. It should be so easy to replicate Tom and Jerry's signature slapstick humor, but it's just lost on this movie. There's an entire plot about, oh, there's a wedding we gotta save. I don't fucking care. I just want to see Tom and Jerry. The state of these characters is genuinely fascinating because it's very clear whoever owns them doesn't know what the fuck to do with them. They're just all of a sudden just, anytime there's new cartoons, it's always just usually Tom and Jerry in The Wizard of Oz, Tom and Jerry in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory for some reason. They're just taking Tom and Jerry and porting them over. Hey, I can't wait to see Tom and Jerry in Saving Private Ryan. Tom and Jerry the movie really just feels like an absolute cash grab. Like they were just digging through the IPs that they had, and then they were just like, "Oh, hey, I forgot we own this. Let's just make that into a movie." Tom and Jerry is not worth your time. Maybe your kids will get some enjoyment out of it, but just show your kids the original cartoons. Have some, at least, respect for your children. Number 2, Cinderella from Amazon Prime. Did anyone actually expect this to be good? No, like genuinely, dead ass, tell me. Did you actually think this was going to be a good movie? Because you have a lot more faith than I ever will. Cinderella is hard to describe, actually. It escapes me. Everything about this movie is a bad idea. It is so predictable. It's just the worst aspects of every Disney live action remake, but except at the very least with those Disney live action remakes, at the very least they're trying to be like well, we want to at least replicate, certain things for the fans or try to rectify certain things that we feel like maybe could be changed or anything. And some of those are pretty bad too. But at the very least, sometimes there's a feeling like there's a creative force behind us. Here, it just feels like everybody was just taking, all right, we gotta have pop music. We gotta make Cinderella a girl boss. That was the thing that was missing that everybody needed to see. We gotta have really popular comedians. We gotta have James Corden for some reason because why is this man popular? I do not understand it. Why? Why? Also, the singing in this movie ranges sometimes from fine to just eh. The worst aspect is especially Camila Cabello. I know. Okay, here's the thing. I know she's a good singer. I have been technically following her career ever since she was on X Factor. I remember the first time I saw her. She was a good singer, and she is a good singer even to this day. I've technically kind of grown up with her music and seen her in media. So I know what she's capable of and know how good she can be. What happened? It's like every single take that was the worst one, they just decided, yeah, just use the worst take. Or the director at times was just constantly like pushing her too far, and to the point where sometimes you can tell her voice is not able to handle some of the notes. It is genuinely fascinating to see. I want to know what was the process behind this, especially with some of the music. The music choices are barely register to sometimes the plot. Like, oh hey, well, we got Rhythm Nation. We have a village, so let's use that song. Why? How does that connect? Oh, we're a village, so we're like the Rhythm Nation? Wouldn't that have made more sense for the king or the prince, for Rhythm Nation to be there since they're royalty, and Rhythm Nation has a very militaristic vibe, so wouldn't it make more sense if, the military royal family actually had Rhythm Nation? Durr! It's baffling. It is not a good film. It's just I'm all for new takes on classic stories, but this is a new take that doesn't even feel creator driven. It feels like they just did a full on assembly line of every single thing that is popular in a movie or people like in a film, and then just decided, okay, mix and match, let's make a potion of shit. And there you go. You got Cinderella. It's bad. Do not watch it. I mean, barely anybody likes this movie. It really shows you how bad it is when I have yet to see one person say a positive about this movie. And before we go on to number one, I have one dishonorable mention. Fast 9. It's time for the Fast and the Furious franchise to go away. I'm sorry. I'm really starting to not like this franchise anymore. It's overdone. It's overblown. Stop it. I'm tired. I just want it to be done. It's not fun anymore. This last one was not exactly enjoyable to sit through. It's no longer dumb fun. It's just dumb. And it's unfortunate because you can tell that Vin Diesel and company are really having a good time making these movies, and they keep getting these big name actors and these really cool individuals, but unfortunately it's time for it to end. I really hope that they'll make at least just either let this be the last one or make one more and then just let that be the end of the franchise. It's time for it to end, guys. Black Widow. I am amazed at how fucking bad this movie is. I think, like with many other people, I'm a big fan of Natasha Romanoff as a character. I love Black Widow, and it sucked to see her get killed off in Endgame. So when I heard that there was a Black Widow movie being made, you bet your ass, like many other people, I was excited, man. We have been begging for a Black Widow movie for many years. And then we finally got it, and it's not good. It's not the worst MCU movie or the worst MCU project. That crown still belongs to Loki, but Black Widow is not a good movie. It is really fucking bad. The character assassination done to Natasha Romanoff is pretty unforgivable. Red Guardian is wasted in this movie. Pretty much a good majority of the characters are not very good people, and they treat it like they're somehow moral good people, or they don't really do a lot of consequences with them. I mean, literally, Natasha just allows her figurehead mother like to essentially be let go, despite the fact that she kept a lot of women captive through that gas of hers. The only good positive is Yelena Bova, which, of course, if you want to see the positives of that, just watch Hawkeye because it's a better show, it's a better product, and well, you don't have to watch Black Widow. The action also as well is just over bloated and overdone. It's not engaging. Everybody's got massive plot armor. Like there's no tension to this movie whatsoever. Natasha can somehow survive the most impossible things despite her not being a super soldier or a literal god or someone powered by spider powers. I mean, again, it's pretty damn ridiculous. Also, the villain is terrible in this film, and Taskmaster is absolutely going to be in the top 10 list of worst adaptations of a villain in comic book film history. It is an absolute disappointment and just a bad movie by itself. And the number one worst movie of 2021 is Space Jam 2: A New Legacy. How do I even describe this movie? It barely even registers as a movie. It's just an ad. It's just an ad for HBO Max. It's literally just, hey, do you like Batman? Well, guess what? He's on HBO Max. Do you like Rick and Morty? HBO Max, guys. Did you know that we have Casablanca? Did you remember that we made Casablanca? Well, if we're reminding you, I fear that this means that if they're reminding us that Casablanca was made by Warner Brothers, then that probably means that there's going to be a remake. And that's scary. That thought should terrify you that they might remake Casablanca. It may not happen, but if they're trying to remind you that Casablanca was made, then there's a good chance it probably is going to get remade. This entire movie from the get-go was just a cash grab, and I know what people are going to say. Wasn't the original a cash grab? Yes. And in many ways too, this seems like almost the apex and the fitting end for this type of cash grab film. But at the very least, it felt like in the first one, there was some effort to be made. There was some creative force behind it. There were some funny jokes. There were some enjoyable moments. With this one, there's no creative force. There's no creative decisions. All this is just one big ego trip to LeBron James. And I'm not saying that the original wasn't an ego trip to Michael Jordan, but even when it comes to ego trips in films, at the very least in that one, they at least made an attempt at making Michael Jordan look humble. I mean, seeing his family life, how he, not showing off this huge mansion and everything, and, all that, and all this pointless drama with, oh, my son and everything. And, they worked with Michael Jordan and, well, they made him look like Michael Jordan, the what you want. Here, LeBron, okay, I'll give some credit. He at least wanted to play a character and was trying to act. I say emphasis on try because, man, LeBron in this movie is not very good. And it's kind of unfortunate too because he was in the movie Trainwreck and he was fine there. What happened? The line reads in this movie are just horrendous. And despite the fact that they have Don Cheadle, he kind of feels wasted to some degree. Like Don Cheadle is not enough to save this movie, and even the cameos at the end of the film with like, hey, look at a Clockwork Orange, guys, the Mr. Freeze from Batman and Robin. Look, there's that character from that IP you recognize. Even that's not really fun because they vaguely look like the originals, but they just look like really shitty Party City costumes. Like that, like this looks like really shitty low budget cosplays. Yet this is a movie that's made by one of the biggest companies out there that owns how many properties and IPs? That's been around for many years, and you're telling me you can at least just dig into the Warner Brothers vault that we know exists to dig out some costumes just for them for background actors to wear, or at least make some new ones? Also, the Looney Tunes in this one, they have some moments, but it's not enough. Also, that rapping scene, We should be ashamed as humans that we allowed this to happen. We should be very ashamed. This movie is in many ways irredeemable, honestly, because it doesn't exist for any form of artistic merit. It's just an ad. Oh, that's all it is. It's just an ad for HBO Max. Because literally any of the stuff that shows up is just there to remind you that, oh, by the way, the thing you're watching the movie on, we got that. We got that, everybody. You want to watch Rick and Morty? You can watch it on HBO Max, none other than that app. I love HBO Max as an app, but man, you don't have to make an entire cinematic ad. You could have just, I don't know, just made an actual ad, for HBO Max, with LeBron James and the Looney Tunes. That probably would have been better and less cringe inducing than an entire movie. Space Jam 2: A New Legacy, which is a joke of a title, honestly. A New Legacy, more like a destroyed legacy, is just a bad film. It's irredeemable. And honestly, with how bad it is, I know some people will try to be like, oh, well, it's just made for kids, so you can't be too harsh on it. Bullshit. Your kids deserve better, okay? Start asking for better. Yeah, this film, it honestly, I would argue it's one of the worst movies ever made because there's very little to redeem about this movie, and all it is just one big advertisement. There's no artistic merit to this film. It's just an ad. No matter the amount of terrible Disney live action remakes we get or any of the cash grabs that we get, at least all of them can say they were in Space Jam 2, which was just nothing but advertisements for every other franchise that Warner Brothers owns. And there we go, everybody. That was my top 10 worst of 2021, and I will be on the way to be making the best of the year list, so be on the lookout for that. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys thought, and thanks for sticking with me. Let's hope that film in 2022 is better.